Hello there. Welcome to the Jersey Nerds
Just
Podcast.
recording a podcast. How about you?
Good
This
start.
is your
good
home
start.
for debates and discussions surrounding sports uniforms, hockey jersey design, and more. I'm Chris. They're Hunter and Bpoe. And guys, I have no idea how we did this. I have no idea. It's now been over a year since the first time we recorded an
Just
episode,
been a year. How about you?
released it, and the relaunched, revamped Jersey Nerds Podcast is now over a year old. Good for it. I mean, that first
We're a
episode
baby.
we definitely recorded
20
it.
more years until we're legal in the United
Yes.
States.
17 for me.
Sometimes I forget that Canada has lower drinking age.
How can you forget Canada's cool?
It's funny because I remember it was the three of us for that first episode there, but I remember we recorded it like 3 weeks before we released it because we were still figuring out like how we wanted to do that and all that.
Didn't we record the first one on Skype too?
Probably.
I think so, because that's what
Yeah.
we did for. No, that's not what we did for the other, like the HJC Jersey Nerds podcast. It is what we did for a while, but eventually Ryan moved us over to Zencaster, which is where we still are now.
Not that
yeah.
anyone listening would know that or care.
If we still have that audio, I wonder if we should look into releasing it.
Which audio?
It's probably still on a drive somewhere. The problem is where.
Which
Steve's probably got it.
Which what do you
Like
thought?
the very
what are you
first,
referring to?
the very first recording that the three of us did once we joined.
That was
Because we
garbage,
did a recording
and we never released it.
Yeah, we did one recording that we never released, and then we did another one afterwards.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's
we
the
did.
one
We did like one with Steve.
With Steve, yeah.
Oh, was Steve in that one too?
No, there was one we did with Steve that we.
Oh man.
That we. Oh my gosh, I've forgotten about that. It was before, and what I think we talked about like the Canucks anniversary or retro throwback or something.
Yeah.
I don't even.
Or I think it was.
Utica.
I think it was.
Utica?
Yeah, Utica's. It was Utica's copy of that jersey.
Oh yeah, Utica's spaghetti.
might
I don't remember anything. I don't remember anything else from that episode.
No, because it just kind of trailed off into garbage. But we might look for that and maybe put it on at some point. We'll see. But the first episode
Look how far we've come.
The first one that we released, I remember it was the three of us and Bpoe was hosting because neither of us had ever done this before. Hunter and I were completely.
I don't
new
think
to
I'd
it.
ever hosted before that either.
No, I think you mentioned that. You're just
I
like,
think that
oh,
was my first time
well, this is new.
But,
I've never done this before.
Yeah, I'd done a podcast before, but I'd never hosted.
Just hosted a podcast. How about you?
Yeah, because we recorded that like late March 2020 when. That was when the global pandemic was just kind of beginning, and I remember we went through kind of the Stadium Series things that we had missed in the time. Funny, I say we as though we took a hiatus. No, Hunter and I joined like the month before, and hopped on, and it was really, as I understand, it was you, Bpoe, it was Justin, and it was Steve that was really trying to get things rolling again after things that fallen apart with hockey jersey concepts,
Yeah, so basically that fell apart, and then we stuck around and brought you guys on, and then here we are.
Here we are, indeed. And it was funny. I went back and listened to a couple minutes of that first release as the revamped new Jersey Nerds podcast, and just. First off, our audio quality was absolutely disgusting and terrible. There was a horrible buzzing white noise the entire time. And then I don't know about you guys, but I sounded like the most nervous person in the world. I sounded like a 10-year-old child that didn't know what it was doing, didn't know how to speak. And because I remember Bpoe was just like, tell us about yourself. I'm like, what do you want to know? What do you want? So I'm that whole kind of thing, and of course I don't remember exactly what he said, but we remember Bpoe's infamous comment when the pandemic was beginning and saying hopefully this will be just a couple weeks, just a few weeks delayed, and then we'll Everything will get back to normal. The hockey season will resume. Everything will be good. Yeah.
That might legitimately be my coldest take ever, but again, to be fair to myself and everybody else, nobody knew what to expect, man.
Somebody submit that to freezing cold takes on Twitter.
Oh, how I wish that take came true.
We had no idea what was happening, and remember at the end we were just telling people just stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, and Bpoe's like, "Oh, I hope you washed your hands already, but if you haven't, please start doing it." Avoid touching your face, social distance, all that stuff was just kind of getting out into the public sphere, I guess, if that's a word. And yeah, that was very interesting times. I remember. I don't think we really knew what we were doing then. I don't think we know what we're doing now. But anyway,
I mean, I kind of did because I'd been on the podcast. But
okay,
you guys, and like I never hosted though, which is why I very quickly gave the reins up to you guys.
And then I remember from there
I don't particularly recall being a good host.
I remember from there we tried to keep it going. We were still trying to get a lot of things rolling. At that time we released the first podcast episode. We were still working on getting the blog up and running. We were still working on getting the social channels going and getting the Redbubble store. All that we were still trying to set up. So it's kind of funny looking back, and not wondering, just not knowing what we were getting ourselves into. Like I didn't even put now we get social graphics out for every single episode. We didn't have anything like that. I think we were still solidifying the branding for the podcast and the blog and everything else there. So it's funny to think how much we've accomplished, how much has been done, and how there's actually people out there listening to this crazy stuff. Like you think about it from an outsider perspective. It's like, yeah, I'm on a podcast. Like, oh, what do you talk about? Well, it's really specific. It's kind of niche. It's talking about the long sleeve sweaters that sweaty men wear on ice while they're skating.
And sometimes the short sleeve sweaters that sweaty men and women wear in other sports as well on fields.
Exactly.
And sometimes the sleeveless sweaters that men wear on a basketball court. Men and women wear on a basketball court. We just talk about a variety of sleeves, long sleeves, short sleeves,
variety
Velcro
of
sleeves.
A variety of sleeveless, and in between shirts that non-gender specific individuals wear on sport surfaces.
Welcome to the Sleeves Podcast, where we talk about sleeves, any type of sleeves, from long to short and anything in between.
Velcro sleeves and all that good stuff. Yeah. And special thanks to Steve, who was the guy that really kind of spearheaded a lot.
I can't tell if that was an intentional joke or if that was just a Freudian slip.
And that's what makes it great. Quick, somebody go in the Discord and change his name to Sleeve.
Yeah. Oh wait, he's not in the Discord anymore, is he?
And then
can I change his name on our Slack?
And it's been interesting because I know we set out to do a number of things, and it's funny to see what things have kind of going strong and what things we've kind of had to figure out a little bit more. We're glad we have Noah on to help with concepts writing now, because I know that was a big part of what was once HJC, and that's something
only
some people
a year
really,
late. SMH my head.
And then we definitely have things that are still like in the back of our minds as things we want to do. Video feed for the podcast is one of those things. Video streaming and things like that was stuff that we might have started at one point or wanted to do more of, but just haven't found the time or exactly what we want to do with that. Of course, making sure the podcast is sustainable and we'll go on getting more blog posts out there. Again, we do have lives outside of this, believe it or not, but it's been exciting to see what we've been able to do in the time that we have, and that Discord. amazing, being able to interact with the community of listeners and patrons. I don't know why I said patrons. Nobody pays us, but
we don't have a Patreon
yet. please donate to the Jersey Nerds Welfare Fund, so we can keep doing this. And
I mean, if you want to pay us, I mean, we've got a PayPal if you want to pay now.
We have an Amazon wish list. We can link it.
I mean,
sign up for our only sleeves.
Considering that our only, our what? No, please do not go wearing only sleeves around your house or in public. We don't recommend that.
I mean, if you're in your house, you do what you want to do, man.
Once you go out the door, those rules don't apply anymore. You gotta wear something, please.
No, but considering
I want to go swimming sometime and somehow wear only sleeves because it's acceptable to be shirtless while you're swimming.
You realize only sleeves implies that that's only sleeves, right?
Is that some kind of new form of skinny dipping?
Yeah.
Sleevey dipping?
Sleevey dipping, you said. Oh,
we've
my
killed
gosh.
Chris already.
But it's not hard to do. But anyway, considering that one of the only things we've had going for a while is the Redbubble store, which again you make like 50 cents on every sticker sold or whatever, if even that. It's amazing to see that people are supporting this, people are listening to this, and again, you see it tangibly in the Discord server that we have, that people really enjoy what we're doing. That's really what keeps us going, the fact that there's an audience for it. For 2 people, if there were fewer people listening than we're recording, then we'd probably be like, yeah, maybe we should take a step back, maybe we should only do this once a month, even, who knows. But I'm glad.
I mean, I'd arguably still do it just because I enjoy it.
Nobody cares, but I'm glad we've been able to to keep this up, to keep going it, to have people that actually enjoy it out there. I'm glad we've been able to do a variety of things, bringing on different guests and different types of guests, touching on different sports, random sports that we never would have touched on normally, and just kind
live studio guests.
Well, sort of, I guess. Live studio audience, I guess.
Like a certain live studio audience, yeah.
But yeah, we're excited to see where we're able to take this, because there's always going to be some news out there to talk about, and we're happy to be able to provide something different. There are other things out there that do similar things as far as reporting on news, although we've done that less, but we try to set ourselves apart with again, our unique brand of humor that just tends to rear its head on the podcast, and concepts and all that, and just trying to to really interact with and support the people that support us. And so everybody that's made it this far into the podcast, because I'm sure most people shut it off after 5 minutes, thanks. Thanks for listening. It's like, yeah, this is something we enjoy, but it can be a struggle sometimes, to balance everything that's going on in life, and I think all of us are busy with some sort of work or school or all that. But to see people enjoying what we're putting out, and to see us enjoying doing what we do, then it makes it all worth it.
I do want to throw out a question to you guys, if you're done.
If you're dumb, what?
If you're done.
Yeah, no. If we're dumb, ask away.
I want to throw out a question if you're dumb.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say that part's obvious.
Hey,
we're all very dumb.
Dang. I went to college.
Do either of you guys have a specific memory from a podcast that we've done over the last year? that you're very fond of? I mean, of course, Velcro sleeves is pretty iconic at this point.
Fond of. I was gonna say I have one
Fondue.
memory from this past
Or
year,
maybe
and
not
it's that.
fond, but like this something notable, I should say.
Well, no, I was gonna say my one memory of this last year that I always think of when I look back is that I'm somehow conveniently missing from every episode where we have a guest because something came up the weekends that we have. Like literally, I missed the episode with Matt. I missed the episode with Kirkpatrick. Like all the episodes where we have guests, other than that one episode where we went over the reverse retros quickly, I don't think I'm on any of them. Because, oh, and the one with Maddie too, because I was on that one. But like, for the most part, I haven't been on any of the other ones with guests.
Because we had
And
Noah and Burkus on as guests as well. Were you on either of those?
I think I was on the one with Noah because I remember talking to him about the Send stuff. I don't remember
I
if I
missed
was on
all
the
of them
other.
except for this one and this one and this one.
I mean,
except
3 out of
except for the
however
people.
many.
Your point is you missed all the ones except for the people that are around so much that you don't even realize they were guests.
That's
That
a good
too.
point. That is a good
Like
point.
literally, look at last week's episode. We're like bringing Noah on again. We're like, yeah, how about this? And in my head, I'm like, I thought we already asked him about this, but I can't tell if we've already talked. I can't tell if we've talked to him about this on the Discord or if we talked about this on an episode. I'm like, I'm so lost right now.
It really does start to blur together because like I don't have a ton of specific like there's a ton of things that I kind of remember, but like not the specifics. I do remember another episode where we killed Chris because he just started laughing, but I absolutely do not remember what the joke was.
It was sleevey dipping. We just did it.
I'm trying to find where it was, but somebody in the Discord mentioned how and again I wasn't on the last episode, but I listened to it. But somebody said that it the entire last episode just completely ignored the fact that Noah had been on before, and just like asked a bunch of questions again that had
That's what I was
already.
talking about.
Yeah,
Like I'm listening to Justin ask him these
it was.
questions, and I'm like, I'm not gonna tell him not to answer it
Oh,
because like
it was Burkus. It was.
obviously episode, but I was like, I swear to God, we've already asked him these things before.
It was. It was. It
There
was
was
Matt.
very much a part of me that was like, we had Noah on, right? Right? I
It
think.
was. It
Yeah,
was
ring jerseys,
Burkus,
baby.
aka Matt, that said, and I quote, "I like how this entire podcast just retcons the September podcast Noah was on out of existence."
We're gonna
September,
pretend
man.
that
How do you
episode
expect us
didn't
to remember
happen.
Right?
September?
I don't
Right?
even remember what I had for breakfast. Like, come on.
Were drugs
I don't remember the
involved? Because most
21st of
people
September or
remember.
the entire month of September.
Yeah, literally.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I was
Um,
thinking of some of the things we done. I remember there was the first real like rant that I went on when we expanded into the new NFL uniforms that were being unveiled, and then of course, the Los Angeles Rams had unveiled their new things, and I think that was the first real, time where I really got heated about something, and you guys kind of sat back and went, "Whoa, okay." Of course, our audio quality was still
go,
terrible,
go,
but
go.
I was recording from like inside my closet or something then, because I thought that's where the best place to do it was.
I
Oh my gosh.
remember there was a period, I think it might have been around the Rams and I think around the Sens unveiling. I think they might have been around the same time. There was at least a couple episodes where like Chris was mad one episode, and the next episode it was like Hunter's turn because the Sens unveiled their uniforms. Like there was
Yeah,
just 2 or 3 in a
we were
row where
making the
we just had
jokes.
one particular guest who was very mad on that
Yeah,
episode.
we were making the jokes about like, all right, so today we're talking about the Sens jersey, so it's Hunter's turn to cry, and then next week we were talking about the Rams new jerseys, so it's Chris's turn to cry. And I don't think I have anything specific really, off the top of my head that I kind of remember, but like just looking back at the whole year, I think overall I'm just really happy that I actually like stuck with it because this is one of those things like you guys have said that we get so busy with things outside of this that like it can fall apart really quick. So the fact that we managed to do it for a year, especially during a pandemic and while we're all trying to figure out, school and work and all these other things, like that's a real testament to just like how much we really want to be doing this.
Yeah,
I would almost argue that the pandemic could have also helped us because it gave us a lot of free time, or at least for me, certainly.
Absolutely, but
And,
like at the same time.
I've said before too, and I will disclaim this, like, I've gotten some good opportunities over the last year with like the Toronto Six and then the NWHL. That probably wouldn't have happened because of COVID. I would very much give up all of that to not have a global pandemic that kills many, many people. But, for what we have to work with, it worked out for us, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny looking back on, again, some of our early interviews were definitely a little shaky, and apologies to those guests because we were still figuring things out. But I'm looking back at like all the episodes we've done. Well, first off, it was interesting to look at like our statistics and metrics and see that our most popular episode, because I assumed it would be, like the one with Matt McElroy, as I've learned, because I think I pronounced his name wrong in the podcast, and I feel awful about that. I still, I'm not over that, so I'm really sorry to Matt. I assumed that would be one of our more popular ones, and it was more popular. But our most popular was like the reverse retro rundown with Phil coming on, and so I found that interesting, where we just quickly went through all the different reverse retro ones. So I guess
I
that
mean,
was cool.
I feel like that makes sense with how much of a big thing the reverse retros were and kind of still are.
And I remember one of the fun episodes we had was the Seattle Kraken when they unveiled their thing, because we usually we record like over a weekend where we have more time. I think we just like that was on a Wednesday or something, and we just kind of buckled down and all hopped on and just broke it down on the very first day it was unveiled and tried to get it out the next day. Like that was pretty cool and fun. But one of the fondest episodes that I remember was it was only our 5th episode in. It was late May because it was all 5 of us at the time. Me, Bpoe, Hunter, Justin, and Steve was there too. And it just turned. It was a slightly longer run, but it just turned into a absolute mess of fun. That was where the Toronto Six was unveiled. That logo was unveiled. Talked about it, and then we just did rundowns because we did that whole NHL team rundown series, going over the best and worst uniforms of every NHL team. Still got that in my head. Jeez. And that was when we did the Ducks, the Mighty Ducks, the Panthers, and the Stars. And so it's interesting to talk about that. But that was the episode that just not only did we introduce the new branding for Jersey Nerds, because that had just been unveiled, and so we had everybody on to talk about that and what we wanted to do with that. But then that's where anybody remember how Clown Burger came up, because that was the episode where that happened. I don't remember how, but somehow we found.
I was gonna bring up Clownburger, that we hadn't brought that up in a long time.
Somehow we
I don't
found
remember that now.
creepy burger joint somewhere in Texas that I don't know if Justin had heard of it or something, but it was just like it became the funniest thing that was. It's funny looking back on all things: the clown burger, the Velcro sleeves, the sweat stain jerseys, all the things that we've either have been random references or have been new terms.
Clownburger was definitely one of those things that Justin just said like off the cuff. I feel like we were talking about
probably a turd burger or something was brought up.
Yeah,
I would assume.
Maybe.
I have no idea though. You don't even remember.
Sweat stain jerseys and turd burger were like what we were talking about, and then he's like turd clown burger, and then like he brought up the restaurant, and we're like, what? Like,
wonderful.
I feel I don't know if that's what happened, but I feel like it may if that was like a stream of consciousness thing from Justin, it may have been like he just said that and then was like, "Is Clownburger a thing?" And then we look it up and it's just some creepy restaurant wherever the hell it is.
I have no clue. And of course, I'd say another highlight was the HJC alumni megacast. Just the fact getting what felt like a dozen people on there, and having you guys just kind of hash it out for old time's sake on there. That was cool to see. I didn't think that many, because I was the one I wasn't on it, because again I joined last year, but I was the one who edited the episode, and that was I didn't think having that many people on at once would go that well. But it was really enjoyable. That was, it was nice to see that you just have a small splash of nostalgia for people that listen to the, previous iteration of the podcast.
And like, since HJC never really had like a proper goodbye, it kind of just fizzled out. I guess that was kind of a way of doing so.
Yeah, I feel like the last.
Who did we have on that one? Do you remember? Probably Justin, Steve, and I, since we're still around.
It was Will you three, and then it was all Phil. It was a whole bunch of people. So I don't know if I could go back on our Instagram and look at the graphics. At one point we put out a graphic
I was
of
gonna say, I think Will was on.
So we had
everybody
a
that was going to
ton,
be
yeah.
featured.
Will. Did Noak show up?
I don't know. Maybe.
Let's see.
That does sound
I gotta
familiar.
scroll back. Gotta scroll back, and all the people. I gotta get down. A huge thanks to all the people that were on that episode, which was Steve, Ryan, Sean, TC, Phil, Will,
Sean
Dylan,
TC, oh my god, that's right.
Justin, and Bpoe. And again, most people
Good
saying
God,
this
how
like,
did you pull
hey,
that
it's a
off?
random assortment. I mean, most people are going to be like, oh, just a random assortment of male names. Yeah, sounds about right for this kind of podcast. But so sorry.
Well,
But
now
yeah,
that I think about it, I think part of the reason we pulled that off is that I'm pretty sure I just, shut up most of the time because I was already here. I had no reason to talk. I figured I'd let everybody else, take the spotlight and share what they needed to because this is their, their only episode they're on. And if I had something to add, I think that's what I did. I added in, and I think Steve and Justin may have done some. I think Steve was hosting probably, but Justin might have been in a similar boat where he just kind of. Justin probably just went to the background and just like I did and just kind of chimed in every once in a while.
Yeah, like Steve kind of treated that as his, like admin goodbye or whatever, as he, went to, spend more time with his family
that's
and all
right.
that. It's funny looking back now at some of the
have a kid.
Yeah, that thing. I mean, why would anyone ever do that? That seems like a really stupid thing to do, huh?
Yes. Don't do it.
Hunter,
Don't
I hope you're
experience the joys of having a child. Also,
Hunter,
I hope my wife can't hear me talking right now.
Hope you're in a closed, soundproof
Hey,
room.
guys,
yeah, right.
Just an FYI, it looks like Brian Rust just scored. Just so you know.
Oh, Brian Rust, Rusty, my boy. Yes, we know Hunter, the avid Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh, and Cody Ceci with the assist. Penguins legend Cody Ceci with the assist.
Honestly,
it's funny now looking back at
the
blog and some of the very first articles we put out were just podcasts, but then introducing the new branding, covered the Henderson Silver Knights. Justin did that. Steve put out a retrospective on the 95-96 third jersey program. Justin covering the KC Mavericks. Steve covering our interview with Brooks Freeman. Excuse me. Toronto 6 uniforms. All the talks that happened. I put kind of an op-ed on Washington's potential name change, which of course happened and is continuing to happen at Washington NFL, not the Capitals. They don't need to change their name, just their uniforms, please. Covering the Seattle Kraken unveiling, the Washington football name change. Buffalo Sabres returned to royal blue. That was a huge, amazing thing for us to see. And then that whole slew of the Vegas alternate uniform, the Calgary Heritage to full-time, the Senators unveiling their sad uniforms, the Dallas Stars, and then our big, articles were kind of the reverse retro stuff, where one we did, it was crazy how we did this. It was me, Justin, and Hunter. We spent like a full day. Once the reverse retro teaser video had been put out, they told you kind of the basic color scheme of each uniform and of the year it was inspired by. We just like buckled down, and each of us did like a third of each of us did like 10 to 12 different concepts in one day to try to guess what the jersey was going to look like for every team. And we put that article out that night, and of course none of ours were completely correct. Some were really close though. Like I think our Kings one was like almost spot on, And then of course
the
article we're covering
too, we had that. There was like the Predators one that I have no idea what was going on that prediction.
I don't even remember. I know our with the Blackhawks jersey, they said it was going to be around the 40s or whatever, and so I just went all out and put like the crazy striping that they'd had from that time, and of course they went way more toned down than that. But I was just like, well, we tried, we tried something crazy because we just had no clue what they were gonna go with that. Let's see, what was the national one? Our national one wasn't too far off. We kind of said it was going to be like the inaugural design, but with the current color scheme, except they went all silver instead of just having their They're correct
Yeah,
colors.
I guess the weirdest thing is just like the yoke shape being like a triangular yoke rather than like a full sleeve one. I guess that's why it looks so weird.
I screwed up the striping on the Nashville one was the biggest problem with it. And then I had to laugh when Chris posted the article and he's like predictions versus the result and he's posted the Nashville concept. He's like, yeah, I don't know what we were thinking here. I'm like, me either. I'm like, we were in such a rush to try and make sure that we had one for each one that I sent it, and everybody was like, okay, that's good. Let's go into the next one. And I like, all right,
honestly,
like.
And then,
I also remember, I think Justin probably did the Dallas one, and at least I was thinking like that's kind of interesting, and he was very close, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
And for his Dallas one, he basically it's for those who haven't seen it, it's
an improved version.
What they did, except everything's green. Yeah, there's no black, no silver, everything's green, and other than that, it's basically exactly what the reverse retro is.
And then we had articles, ranking each team's uniform set from 2019-20, and then Bpoe, you had an amazing article talking about every visual NHL change for the 2020-21 season. We had a couple.
It's a funny story about that one too, real quick.
Yeah.
I had that teed up for a bit, and I was gonna do it. And then all of a sudden, it's like a night or two before, I was like, oh god, the season's in like a day or two. I need to do that. And I was like up all night doing it. Partly because my sleep schedule is trash anyways, so I probably would have been up all night anyways, but
Bpoe up till 5 a.m. every day.
And
if anybody knows how to fix a sleep schedule, hit me up.
We ran a couple
Jersey Nerds on Instagram.
We ran a couple fantasy leagues. We had a fantasy football league and a fantasy hockey league that's kind of wrapping up. I think we'll be down to the championship by the time this episode goes out. So that's awesome to see. Our red
currently Justin versus Will right now, and Noah versus myself in that fantasy league.
Yeah, and just
4 left, and
we in our Redbubble store we took the Jersey casual idea that I think Steve had created years and years ago and kind of revamped that to make it look good. We have designs based off of every NHL team. We have multiple based off every NHL team. We have CFL teams. We have NFL teams. We have reverse retro inspired stickers and other merchandise on our Redbubble store. We have hundreds and hundreds of designs on there. It says 254 is how many things that we have managed to collectively design and put out onto that store. So if you're a fan of any sports team, go check it out. Go check it out and see what you can find.
Please give us money.
Please, for the love of God.
I mean, remember, you buy a $2 sticker, we probably make like a quarter. So just like that, don't even like.
Yeah.
Like we appreciate it. We do appreciate
more than we had.
It's
okay.
Not,
wait, I'm just seeing this. Gastown Hockey? Why is that Gastown?
Well, we can't use the actual team names on the.
Well, yeah,
designs.
but what Gastown? What about Vancouver is Gastown?
Well, there's this part of Vancouver called Gastown. It's like in the downtown.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah. they got this clock that
I
goes
had no
off.
idea.
It's like a steam clock thingy, and it goes off every now and then. Every hour. It's a nice area.
Okay.
I like it down there. I've been there once. It's cool. Let's see. What else is in Vancouver around Gastown? I don't know. Gastown. It's super gassy.
Some of these names are incredible. Steely.
Yeah, we had to be creative coming up with the Gastown steam clock. We had to be creative coming up with different names that didn't use the actual city names or the because I remember at one point we put I think we put like Beantown Hockey for the Boston one, and it got taken down.
Whaley good hockey.
Really good.
These have been up for like half a year. You have just not noticed.
Well, I mean, some of them I knew about, but I totally forgot about.
This just goes to show how much attention Bpoe pays to the Redbubble store.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's see if you're ever.
I mean, to be fair, that is like your project, your guys' project. I don't really touch the Redbubble at all.
Yeah, you could have.
I just hand over those reins. I hand over those reins to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're ever in Gastown in Vancouver, the Lamplighters, a nice restaurant to go to. They have food and they had sports TVs, so have fun there. Anyway, yeah,
Well,
it's been a good.
When I'm allowed to travel in 8 years, I'll make sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say when the vaccine finally reaches the Canadian border.
Yeah, no shit.
Which it's gonna be. Well, anyway, it's a fun wild ride, and we're excited to see what we're able to do with it going forward. And with that said, we actually have other things to talk about besides just reminiscing on the past. So real quick, we're going to touch on a couple news related things just to have a discussion, and then we'll open a mailbag for a little bit and get some listener questions in there. Anyway, in American football, in the NFL, you have the Cincinnati Bengals, who have revamped their uniforms for the first time since 2004. And this is an interesting
The
franchise.
Cincinnati Benjamin goals.
Benjamin Angle.
Sure. Let's
The Cincinnati Stripes.
Yeah, it's funny because like, again they've had the same uniform for what, like 16 years now, I guess. Um, and they're an interesting team in the NFL because they're, yeah, they're kind of historic, and they have arguably one of the most recognizable helmet designs in the entire league. It's orange and it has black stripes on it to look like a freaking tiger. Is that not awesome? Yes, it's awesome. Um, and so they changed their uniforms and they have simplified them measurably. They've noticeably simplified. Well, this is one of the redesigns where, a lot of people looked at it and they went, I don't even know what they changed. A lot of average people are saying, oh, it's not even that different. It's not even that good. It's whatever. That's how you know you've nailed a uniform design, is when the fans still think it looks like your team, but a designer and a uniform aficionado is going to notice just how much better it is. And so let's kind of compare these. See, their old uniform, it's everything's still black and orange and white. Their old uniforms had a lot of interesting elements, where they had a outline and a drop shadow on the numbers. They had this curved tiger striping on the pants down the side. They had tiger stripes very noticeable on both sleeves. They had contrasting collar colors from the color of the jersey. The white jersey that the Bengals used to have had these. Basically, the shoulders were orange, but the jersey was white, which made like for a very strange color blocking panel. And so what they've done is again simplify them considerably. There are still stripes on the shoulders, but there's no panel for them. They're just the stripes on the jersey, black stripes on the white. And let's clarify this first. They have a black jersey, they have a white jersey, they have an orange jersey. It's pretty straightforward and makes sense. Black jersey has orange stripes and white numbers. The white jersey has black stripes and black numbers. The orange jersey has, I lost track of what color I was talking. The orange jersey has white numbers and black stripes. I don't even. There's so many. It's all the same color. Okay. Every number has
The
an
orange jersey
outline.
has orange numbers and orange stripes.
No.
The blue
No,
jersey has red numbers and green stripes.
and again, there's no drop shadow on the numbers. It's a similar number font to what they had before. So it's slightly more angular, but pretty close, and just a single outline. And again, they have a bunch of different combinations that can go with it, as teams tend to do it these days with white pants, black pants, orange pants, and the three colored jerseys too. And I'll touch on those pants a little more later. But overall, just from an
You're gonna touch on the
aesthetic
Bengals
standpoint,
pants.
Whoa, hey.
what
2021. You can't just be touching people's pants like that, Chris. Come on.
just at first impression, whether you know anything about this franchise or not, how does this look?
I think it's way better personally. As you mentioned, there's a ton of elements on the previous uniforms that just have been significantly cleaned up about this one. And of course, again, they kept the iconic elements of the uniforms that they had and just refined and cleaned it up. The one thing that disappoints me about it is how much they leaned on black instead of orange. Because, I mean, again, if we've been here a year now. If you've listened before, I don't like black uniforms very much, at least ones that are devoid of color. And especially the white jersey that they have is very devoid of any orange. It's very minor trim, and that's it, which is disappointing. But down to the design itself, I think they nailed it.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to agree. There's a couple combinations that they have in terms of the color layouts between like the pants and stuff that I'm not really a huge fan of. But overall, like design wise, like the simplification really works. Um, yeah, I'd agree with Bpoe that I wish they were a little more orange heavy in some spots. I feel like they went too doubled down on the black for whatever reason. But overall, like, yeah, the simplifying everything with the striping and the jerseys and getting rid of that shoulder bar that they had on their last ones, like those are just huge improvements, but they're just super simple, right?
Yeah, I would always look at the shoulder bar on their old white jerseys because not only did it kind of, curve like from the collarbone out on the front of the jersey, but it also went straight across on the back so that the nameplate was always in the orange while the numbers were black on the white jersey. And so I don't know why the jerseys that do that just always bug me when the when those two things are incredibly different. Yeah, again, cleaned up a lot of elements. There were so many things on that old uniform that you just wondered why are they there. That shoulder color blocking, the side panels on the jerseys, especially on their black jersey where they had a white side panel going down the side. And of course, it's not like they had a big white stripe going down the pants, so it didn't connect it. If it had, that would have been way worse. But still, it just didn't make any sense. And again, this is a jersey that was a uniform that was unveiled, if I remember, in 2004, and that should have died within 5-6 years of its unveiling, and yet it stuck around until 2021. That's astounding. First off, again, I'm glad they didn't
I'm
make any
just
changes.
seeing.
Yeah,
I'm just seeing on the old black pants, the top of the stripe has white and orange, and then just suddenly cuts the white off, and it's just the black and orange stripe.
it's I don't know. I don't know what was going on
What?
there. And then again the Nike pants there also had like the end of the stripe like curve a little like inward, and it was strange for sure. Um, but yeah, again they've cleaned all that up and everything looks as it should. But one thing that I am unsure about is why in the world they have two different sets of white pants. And this is something you might not have noticed, but they have one set of
Absolutely.
white pants that's orange, that has orange stripes with a black outline on the stripes. And they have another set of white pants that's just black stripes. And considering on the jerseys, all the stripes are just one color, which is how you should do it, because that's how a tiger looks, you dinguses. I don't know why they have a set of white pants that has orange stripes and a black outline on them. I don't know why that's necessary because if you're wearing the orange jersey, the stripes on the orange jersey are black. So why would you not have black stripes on your pants too, even though they're white pants? Like I don't. I think this is the one
I
color
mean, I
stripe.
would argue
You know.
orange stripes on the white pants for the orange jersey, just because it's the hierarchy of colors there. But I mean, either way, you could pull off the black ones. Yeah, the outline's really weird.
Yeah, maybe that'd be cool on the black jersey because again, the stripes on the shoulders would be orange, so you could have the orange stripes on the pants
Yeah,
too. Having that
I'm all over the
consistency would be
place
nice.
yeah, I'm all over the place when it comes to these pants because like these white pants, just looking at these two photos, like the orange one, I'm okay with the way the stripes look, but it definitely doesn't need that black outline. But the black one, I don't like the way the black stripes look with the orange stripes and then the orange helmet. Like I don't
Well,
know. It just
but imagine it on the white jersey though,
yeah,
because then
well
the stripes
even
completely match.
yeah, I don't know. This is where
It's
that whole
again,
thing with the
it'd be
NFL
devoid of
not being able
color,
to
but aside
yeah,
from the
this is the whole
helmet,
thing
but
with having and the NFL's rule not being able to change the helmet. I get why they do it, but it's kind of the thing that bothers me as like a casual NFL fan, I guess. Like in their breakdown, they have a really good combination, I feel, where they have the orange helmet, the white jersey, but then they have the black and orange pants. And I feel like those ones balance a little better just because the numbers are heavy black. The orange and the stripes works better with the helmet, kind of ties it all together a little better, at least in my opinion. But like, yeah, I don't know. With the way they have to balance the stripe colors, like I feel that they should probably try to keep them as consistent as possible between the three of them. So like with the orange one, I don't know why the stripes aren't black and why they have a black outline at all.
yeah, it's
I'm
interesting
noticing
how
how weird the orange helmet looks on the white uniform
white.
that's pretty much devoid of orange as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
well,
was gonna jokingly say, like, imagine doing the white pants with the orange stripes on that white uniform that doesn't have any orange, but like, it actually might work out okay because it balances with the helmet. I'm not sure.
yeah, because for the past few years they've had a white on white color rush uniform where that uniform was almost entirely devoid of orange, and then they had the orange helmet with it, and that was probably one of their more popular uniforms and more accepted uniforms. It was definitely a better design than their actual full time set. But again, it was just
Hey, what do
devoid
you
of
mean? There's a
color.
lot of orange on that jersey. There's a couple of Nike swooshes in there with some orange on it.
Um, but so I think they kind of did a good job of kind of taking the good parts, the good design parts of that thing, and then kind of integrating it and making it into a full time set that's not completely devoid of orange. And it's funny because I found an image of their Color Rush uniforms. The two guys in the picture are Andy Dalton and AJ Green, who were their star. Well, I wouldn't. Okay, Dalton wasn't a star, but AJ Green was their star receiver. And it's funny because both of them are gone, and so they're just moving on to a new era with new players and having a new identity. And again, as far as taking, again, for me, any uniform redesign, you take your core elements, you amplify those, you get rid of what's unnecessary. They did that. They did it perfectly. So I cannot complain about anything they've done here. Plus, I never got why they just had their B logo on the front of their old uniforms on the chest instead of having like a word mark that actually fits the space better. So that always felt strange to me too. So I'm glad they cleaned up all the things that felt weird and wrong.
The Cincinnati Bees.
Cincinnati Bees.
The Cincinnati Browns.
Uh-oh.
People make jokes about how. Well, I don't remember the history of those two teams because you had. Yeah, because there was the coach or the Paul Brown was like a famous coach of the Cleveland Browns. I think they were named after him. But then like eventually like that, I don't. As someone that knows more football history than anybody here, I should know this, but I don't remember where he was.
I
He
have
left
no
the
idea what
Browns,
you're
or he
talking
was
about.
fired from the Browns, and he went to, um, coach. Yeah, he co-founded and was the first coach of the Bengals. He was kicked out of left the Browns in 1962, and then in '68 helped to start the Bengals. And of course, the Cincinnati Bengals' first uniforms looked very much like the Cleveland Browns' first the uniforms at the time. You know, it was just an orange
Cincinnati
helmet and a
Browns.
dark jersey. And I'll try to find a picture and send it over. But just like, yeah, they were pretty similar looking to start with. And so at some point in the Bengals history, they decided, okay, we're gonna go and have actual tiger stripes on our uniform and as our helmet. And of course, at the time, that would have been a radical new helmet design. But now I think it's become classic. It's become iconic. It's recognizable instantly, And so I like that about them very much. I'm glad that they're embracing what makes them unique, but also making it look good.
You are very correct in that I thought that was the Browns before I saw the helmet. And if it wasn't for the helmet, I still would probably believe so.
Because when they were first founded, it was just an orange helmet that said Bengals on the side. It was, but again, they've taken what makes them great, and they've amplified it and gotten rid of all the garbage around it, like the white side panel. I'm still mad about that white side panel. How could you let that happen?
I'm still just confused on the pants and how it starts as a white and orange stripe, and then it just suddenly is black and orange.
It was a uniform that wasn't meant for a Nike template that they put on a Nike template. that's but now they've got something.
It was a uniform that was made in 2004, I believe you said, that wasn't meant to go past probably like 2010.
No, exactly. Honestly, I mean, I feel the same way about the Arizona Cardinals' current NFL uniforms. They were unveiled. They were, I think, a year later, around the same time, and they should have died within 5 years, but they've stuck around because everything sucks and it's awful. Anyway, speaking of everything sucking and being awful, not a sport we normally talk about, but something we wanted to have a conversation about because the Super League was a thing that came and went in the time since we last recorded.
The greatest 24 hours in the history of football, my friends.
So for those who don't know, it was announced earlier this month. I don't even remember what day anymore. Maybe that. Yeah, I have no clue when all this happened because
it was
all
that
blurred
one.
together.
It was on April 18th, so Sunday. Last Sunday.
Okay.
It was on a weekday that ended in day.
It was on a day that
Sunday's on a
ended with Y.
Anyway, for those who don't know, the Super League was an association football thing, as some people call soccer. Some people just call football. Anywho, where the 12 of the biggest, richest clubs in all of footy decided that they were going to break off from their own leagues and just form a league of their own, leaving everybody behind and just forming the biggest, baddest, richest, greediest league that they possibly could. 6 teams from England: Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United, and Tottenham Hotspur. 3 from Italy: Inter Milan, Juventus. I always forget how to say Juventus. I think I always forget how to say that. Somebody's gonna roast me. And AC Milan. And then in Spain, you had Atletico Madrid, FC Barcelona, and Real Madrid. Again, most of these the biggest soccer teams in the world that just said, "Nah, screw everybody else. We're gonna do our own thing," and completely leave the Premier League and whatever other leagues they were in. So, of course, the problem with that is that everybody hated it. Every single fan of those clubs and every single fan of international football absolutely hated the move and called it, power grab. It was greedy. And what FIFA and UEFA that run the Champions League tournament and the World Cup said was like, yeah, anybody participating in this league, any players in this league, are not allowed to participate in our tournaments. Like, if the club is playing for this Super League, which again, it's so pretentious to call it the Super League. Like, really, is this the Super Friends Justice League? I don't know. Like, what do you like? How big is your ego? But they said, yeah, you won't be able to participate in the World Cup or any of these tournaments like that if you're playing. And as I understand, the players had really no say in this. It was all the owners that decided to kind of gang together and do this. And some people might say, oh, they
Sports
lost
owners
money.
causing problems for their teams.
Who knows?
That's a new one.
And some people might say, oh, it's they're just trying to recoup money lost in the pandemic. Yeah, so is everybody else. It's not just you're already the richest clubs in the world. Why are you trying to go out and make more money and separate? Like, it's basically as though, imagine we'll just go with the NHL. Let's say like the original 6 teams just decided to break off from the NHL and have their own league of competition that was somehow elevated or whatever, and they each got billions of dollars for doing it. Because that was the thing too.
Would it be the original 6, or would it just be like the richest teams, or are those kind of hand in hand?
I feel like they're more hand in hand.
It'd be kind of hand in hand with the way hockey is.
My point is,
there's got to be some other teams,
would not be included.
Yeah, no, whatever.
Hey, whoa, hey!
Wow.
How dare you say something so right?
I mean, would Melnick try to do it?
If you look at it from a hockey perspective, like the most popular teams are the original 6 teams, right? Like,
I mean, let's think of it. Is Melnick the kind of owner that would do that? Yes.
Absolutely, not even a question. Like,
would the Senators be able to do it? Probably not.
Would the Senators even be invited? Absolutely not.
Well, people were making that joke about Tottenham as being one of the teams included, and they felt like, oh, we're just happy to be here, like they were lucky to be in it. I mean, knowing you
national,
the Senators would probably. I'm saying the Senators would probably just break off and form their own league, except they're the only team in it, and so they're just like, well, now what? We didn't think this through.
We've won the Ottawa Cup for the 20th year in a row.
We're as successful as the original Ottawa Senators.
Yeah.
National Hockey League franchise value by team in 2020: Rangers, Leafs, Canadiens, Blackhawks, Bruins, Kings, Flyers, Wings. So
yeah,
have
sorry,
Kings and Flyers are also in
the
there.
Kings would not be in the Super League.
And
I
then
hope not.
Caps, Canucks, Penguins, Stars, Knights. Yeah, that's like half the
Who's the
if you go
bottom
strictly
six?
based off valuation, then I could see the Kings getting an invite at the very least. Because the other thing is like in
Did,
terms of the Super League, there was a lot of like German teams that that had invites and they had 30 days to answer. But of course, this all fell apart in 24 hours. So they're just sitting there like, yeah, no, it's okay. We'll stick with what we're doing.
Yeah. So what
Chris, did you
happened
ask who's
is
at the bottom?
yeah, bottom six NHL value. Let's go with that
Um,
first.
Coyotes,
Florida.
Panthers, Jackets, Sabres, Jets, Sens, Preds, Hurricanes, Ducks,
Oh
Avs,
wow.
and that's bottom up. I'm
Sabres.
surprised to see the Sabres that low, but
Yeah,
it's probably just
honestly.
because they suck. If they were good, I'm sure they'd be a lot higher up.
Probably just because they're terrible. Like,
Mm-hmm.
There's
Anyway,
no point in sugarcoating it, man.
yeah, no, that's
in
fair.
soccer, this Super League was announced, and then we think on a Sunday, but then by that Tuesday, there was just so much furious backlash. There was just so much hate against it that I think an article I'm reading says 9 of the 12 teams, including all 6 of them from the Premier League in England, had just withdrawn and said no, we're sorry, this was a mistake. I think Liverpool took the longest though because they were like really
So,
into it.
so from what I can see, I have a tweet here about the Super League being announced on April 18th at 6:15 Eastern time. So that would be like
Mm-hmm.
9 o'clock in Europe,
Mm-hmm.
and by 11:30 that night, fans had already started
Wait,
creating such amazing
oh,
backlash.
did you just
What?
say that Europe is 3 hours ahead of Eastern time?
Or not three? Yeah, you're right. It's not. It would be
It's
11:30 then.
it's 5. It's 5 hours ahead in London. I just checked.
Okay. Whew.
And yet
Hunter
still
almost looked like a bigger idiot than he
strategic
Man, imagine if it was 7 o'clock right now.
Yeah, okay.
Can't relate.
So like
I mean,
literally like
depending on when you're listening.
within like a
Yeah,
half an
true.
hour of this tweet being posted, within like a half an hour of this tweet being posted, like there was already major backlash, and then it just kind of exceeded itself over the next couple of days with protests and people stepping down from their positions because of how stupid it was. And
Yeah, and
like
it's
yeah, like Chris is right. Like this is a huge ego boost for these teams. Now, is there an argument to say that these teams have the right to kind of think of themselves like this? Maybe. I
they
mean,
already
they
do.
are. Well, you know what I mean, though. Like they're like some of the more storied franchises in their leagues. Um, my misunderstanding of it when it first got announced was that I thought it was just going to be another tournament. I didn't realize that they were going to like completely cut away from everything else. So like I was like, well, what's the big deal? I'm like, I don't understand it because 3 of the managers of these teams complain all year round about how they already have too many games and they need less games, and now they're just going to add another one. And then my buddy was like, no, 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 like they're going to just do this. I'm like, oh, well, that's dumb. Like,
They're seceding. Yeah, and so of course the managements of all these clubs are still under fire. It's interesting looking at this from a branding perspective because these teams know that they are some of the most recognizable brands in the world, and they were trying to take advantage of that. Like you think uniform wise, kit wise, many of these clubs, you can just hear their names and you can think of them. Even if you're not like an avid fan, like Barcelona, you know what that looks like. It's red and blue vertical stripes usually. Sometimes they go away, but who cares? Manchester United, that's red. Manchester City, that's a light blue. So some of these, it's amazing to see these storied clubs and franchises just they know who they are, they know the global power they have, and they just went and decided to just take advantage of it. And I find that crazy. um, Also interesting how the owner of Arsenal, one of the clubs there, is Stan Kroenke, who's also the owner of many other sports teams, including the uh, CEO and owner of the Los Angeles Rams and an owner of the Colorado Avalanche, Colorado Rapids, Mammoth, Denver Nuggets, a whole bunch of sports teams. And so, yeah, I wonder can't, and I think Hunter brought this up before the podcast started. How some people are saying, "Oh, the Super League was trying to be like the MLS, trying to be like Major League Soccer, no promotion and relegation, just everybody's a permanent member and everybody can do their own thing." Like the MLS is not one of the biggest sports leagues in the United States, so I'm not sure if that's what they were going for. But like it's again, anytime you talk about sports, you end up talking about ownership at some point because it's amazing just how many crazy decisions that owners will make to try to get more money. We've seen that in every sport at every time. I feel like just absolute greedy power grabs. I mean, like everyone still hates the LA Chargers because nobody wants to say LA Chargers because they're not supposed to be in LA. It's supposed to be in San Diego, and things like that. And so it's just
Golden State Chargers.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about the connections
Golden
between
State, Oakland Chargers.
It's funny because we talk about a very specific thing. We talk about just visual team branding and the things that they wear on the field or on ice and the things that fans wear. That's what we talk about. But all of that's connected to these higher up, wealthy owner investor people, and it's crazy because what this whole Super League thing showed was just the disconnect between the fans and the owners. There's always a disconnect there, but it showed just how large it is and how crazy big that gap is because a lot of fans said like a lot of these clubs were built up for working class people. A lot of them have these iconic histories and these really dedicated fan bases, and they just said, nah, screw you guys, I'm going home to make some money.
The big thing for me, like, if you take everything from this and you put the money and the greed and all these other things aside, the stupidest thing that I know about this league, and you just brought it up about the MLS and like the lack of relegation, only the 15 founding clubs are permanent. They had 5 other teams that they were planning to add, and those teams could only make the league depending on how they performed in their other leagues.
They were planning to add
literally these 15
5 to the 12.
These 5 to their 15. They were going to be a 20-team league. Though. No, they had 15.
They started with 12.
Clubs. They had offers out to German clubs that they were waiting to add though.
But the German clubs said no because they're like, nah, we ain't.
They didn't answer. They're like, here's 30 days. They're like, yeah, we don't have time. Like,
I thought even said no.
They went to send out their yes, and then they were like, wait, just let it simmer for a minute.
And it's crazy how it fell apart. I mean, some people I think drew comparisons to the AAF. No, that's not fair. The AAF was a success compared to this because one, they weren't pretentious enough to call themselves a super league. And secondly, they played 2 months of games, so they're way better than this.
They lasted longer than.
And also, as Steve pointed out, their logo, the Super League logo, looked like it was done for $25 by a Fiverr designer or whatever. Like it just said the Super League, and it was just text, and it's just like, really,
so cool.
You're gonna be that.
Looks like Helvetica or something.
I love it.
It's absolutely astounding. So it's just interesting to see how all these things are, connected between fandom and ownership, and how, seceding from your league is probably not the best idea. And again, it just felt like the 1% against the 99, and thankfully, I guess, fan outrage prevailed and works. So if you want change in your local sports team, go start a protest at the office or something. I don't know.
Go complain on Twitter.
Go complain on Twitter.
Yeah, go complain on Twitter. That'll solve everything. Yeah, it's just crazy to see.
I feel like the strangest thing about the logo is that you can tell that it was done by a designer. I think especially just because of the use of recent trends like the the being an outline and the gradient in the. But at the same time, it's just text and that's it. It looks like it was thrown together in 25 minutes.
It's very something. The good news is that their website still works.
They had a website? I mean,
yeah.
And it's funny how Real Madrid's president said that, they have a binding contract. They cannot leave. It's just is this a prison? What do you, just imagine if, just the biggest names in all of American sports like let's just say regardless of league, because that's how popular soccer is internationally. Let's just say the Dallas Cowboys, the let's say the Dallas Cowboys, Pittsburgh Steelers, the Lakers, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Yankees, the Red Sox. Let's just say all those teams just kind of separated from everything and formed their own thing. Like, I mean, one, you'd get most of the good uniforms all in one league, so I guess that's a plus. That would have been the one plus for this league, is that you'd get a pretty, like, aside from the change kits, you'd get a pretty decent looking matchup every time. But
Ooh,
just
okay,
like,
that gave me an idea. We
ooh,
absolutely
let's hear
cannot
it.
do it this podcast, but we should do
Okay.
it on a future podcast. Make a super league of uniforms all from the Big Four.
Ooh, Super
I'm
League.
so down.
The
What's
Super
12 teams?
12 teams. The
Uh,
Elite Design League.
We'll get there when we get there. EDO.
yeah, we'll iron out the details later.
People referred to it as European Super League. It was called the Super League. Like, jeez. Okay, let's wrap this up for today. Bpoe, open up the mailbag.
All
Now,
right.
hurry up.
So we've got
Mail.
a couple questions. I need to scroll
Mailbag.
back up to where it is. There it is.
Mailbag.
The two that I'm going to ask first are from TJ on Discord. Or was it TJ, I believe?
Trader Joe.
The Child.
Yes. It was TJ. So, first question: what teams would work well with full white equipment for both their home and away? And I'm assuming he means NHL.
Full white equipment. Equipment referring to helmets, gloves, and pants.
I would assume. If not, maybe just gloves and I don't know. Just answer a question however you want, I guess.
Okay, first off, white
Because like I
helmet.
feel like there's some cases where like you could probably pull off like white gloves and pants but no helmet. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Because I think of when I think of like uniform combinations between like helmet, pants, and jersey and all that, I tend to think of American football, where I find that one of the best combinations you can have for a team with a black helmet is a colored jersey and white pants and colored socks. Then everything kind of balances out. Except here we're talking about a white helmet and white pants and white gloves, which I think would work okay on a white jersey because teams already do white helmets and white jerseys, and if they do anything else, it looks a little strange. Would any Does any colored jersey have enough white on it for it to feel okay? Like, I feel like it has to be a jersey that has a white yoke if we're gonna put a white helmet, white gloves, white pants on it. Is that fair?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's also very fair to say that I don't think you could ever do this and have it be an improvement on what they wear now. But
Absolutely.
just for the sake of the question, what could work?
For
I'm
me, I think there's only like a certain situation for me that I think it could work, and I feel like one, you need simplified colors, so no like more than two probably, and they need to already have white as it is, right? So like, I'm thinking like a Tampa Toronto might be able to work just because they're already just blue and white. So it just keeps
And I'm
it
going to throw
simple.
in Detroit as well because I was
Detroit,
thinking Detroit Toronto because they already have a ton of white and it's just that's it, two colors.
but like yeah,
I hate
outside of
that.
that, like where do you go? Like, if they're gonna be wearing white gloves and pants and all this stuff with their away uniform, like you have to pick or not the away, the home uniforms. Like you have to pick the home uniforms that already have the most white on them, and not a lot of them do. You know, like
Flyers.
like Flyers, yeah, I guess
Yep.
maybe like
Oh, that.
Man, you guys
But
are
then,
stealing all mine.
well, the interesting thing here is you need to pick a jersey that has a good amount of white on it, but that also has a good amount of their other colors on it because almost aside from the socks, all the other color is going to be gone. Like if you did it with Florida, their uniform would be almost entirely devoid of navy blue, and that would be awful and bad. Um,
okay, I just thought of
you
one.
did
I
it
just
with
thought of one.
Philly, the same thing would happen. The black would disappear.
Yeah. What about the Islanders? Because their home jersey literally just has the white at the bottom of it already. So it would just tie into their like their glove and their pants anyways.
I like it on the pants, maybe. I hate it as the helmet.
The helmet would be a little concerning because it goes from white to the blue, but then on the away, like we already know it goes white, but then it
I
would
think the
have to go
gloves and
orange
pants could
white.
work there. Like, I don't think it'd be better, but it could work.
Yeah.
But the helmet is where you lose me. TJ, why do you really want this?
TJ, why are you doing this to us?
Gosh,
Bpoe's
absolutely.
computer just went bye-bye. Do you have a record button that you can pause?
Why would I pause the recording?
Because Bpoe's not
He
here
jumped
anymore.
ship. He abandoned us. We're keeping going without him.
He left. Bye.
And we had some technical difficulties there with Bpoe's computer crashing or something, and then we came back and he couldn't see Hunter and Hunter couldn't see him. Anyway, we're back in here.
I don't know what
So,
happened. You guys were just talking, and then I couldn't hear anything, and then
nobody cares. We gotta wrap this up anyway. So the other stupid question from TJ: how do you guys feel if the NHL had a one color equipment rule, like only one set of equipment for each of their jerseys? And the answer is we absolutely hate it because you'd end up with a colored jersey on the road or a white jersey at home, a helmet at home. Excuse me, you end up with a colored helmet at home or a white helmet at home, depending on what a team decided to do. Vegas has shown us how a light helmet on a dark jersey is a terrible thing. And a dark helmet on a white jersey would work okay, but it would it's not quite as good. And also like it wouldn't be a problem with the pants or the gloves because most teams do that anyway. But it's when you throw the helmet in that just everything just goes downhill. Not everything needs to be that cost effective, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, there's a couple teams I think even the helmet might work, but then the socks throw it out of balance. Because, like,
Are we counting
Buffalo.
socks as equipment here?
Well, I mean, you said it earlier, so I was.
I didn't say that. I said helmet, gloves, pants.
And socks.
I think if we're just going by like what we traditionally call equipment,
If we go,
I guess it would just be pants, socks, gloves, or sorry,
I
pants,
guess.
helmet, gloves.
I don't know.
If we go pants, helmets, gloves, then I still think like teams like Buffalo's rebrand and Calgary's New Jersey's, like those probably could work because the helmet just kind of ties into the yoke.
I like that.
I think that outside of that, like Buffalo's pretty much already got that look going on their home jersey as it is, and if you throw that on their white jersey, like if they're going blue gloves, then they're good because they still have those cuffs on the bottom of their gloves or their sleeves too. I mean, it's not super obvious, but they're there. So there's a couple teams that probably could do it. Is it better? Absolutely not. Don't do it.
I think the Red Wings have shown us, the Red Wings and the Hurricanes have shown us how we hate seeing dark colored helmets on light jerseys, and Vegas has shown us how we hate the other thing around too. Other thing around. It's not even a phrase.
Yes.
Shut up, Chris.
Yeah, I think the only way it could possibly work is kind of like Chris mentioned on the other question, but this time you'd probably have to have a dark yoke on the white jersey for it to tie in. But that's probably about it.
Okay. Bpoe. I don't feel like another mailbag question. Give us a trivia thing. Give us a quick little trivia thing to close this off, as we have done this for a year. And as I checked at some point, this is our 47th episode. So, no, we're not doing it every week.
If you want a really quick trivia question, because I didn't have anything prepared because I didn't think we were going to do trivia.
Who cares?
Won the most recent Stanley Cup?
Who won the
most recent Stanley Cup?
Quick, go.
I honestly forgot for a minute there because this year has been so insane and awful.
It's been 2 years since a team won the Stanley Cup.
It feels like it.
The St. Louis Blues?
No, it was the Kings, dude.
It was the Kings.
Here's an actual one and a really good one from our friend Gwinnett Graphics. The question: everyone knows the Blackhawks for having the most colors in their logo, with 9 different colors. What current team has the second most, and how many?
Ooh.
Are we allowed to look at logos, or is that forbidden?
I'll let you guys decide that one.
We'll give it a minute. Trying to think of
current team.
Well, I assume you'd be talking about current
specifies
logos.
Current team.
Okay.
The question specifies current team. So.
Let's see. trying to think hard about this before I just throw out random guesses.
What was the number?
It's fewer than 9.
Did it
That's
give an
all.
actual number though, or just
let
said
me read the question. He did in the answer, but I'm not giving you that. I'll read the question again. Everyone knows the Blackhawks for having the most colors in their logo with 9 different colors. That's what the Blackhawks have. What current team has the second most and how many? So part of the question was also how many.
There's a lot of teams that have 4 colors, so I feel like it's not that. But what team goes up to 5 or more is what I'm trying to think about. Oh, it's hard to recall every team's primary logo when you're trying to think of them all at once. Maybe that's a bad strategy. Maybe I should do something different.
I want to say like, I don't know, like Minnesota, maybe.
There's only 4 in that, I think.
But like most of the rest of them are all like pretty simple, like
Okay,
3,
I think
2,
right now
3.
I'll say it now. We have permission to go to sportslogos.net and look at the NHL team logos.
I'm gonna guess Minnesota.
My guess off the top of my head would have been San Jose, but that's wrong.
Okay. We'll take that as your guesses pre-research.
Okay. Now ready, go. Research. The team has a ton of colors in theirs. 1, 2, 3. I'm counting colors. Is that allowed? Who cares? Nobody cares. Oof. I mean, at one point it probably would have been Nashville, but
Yeah, not now.
they've since made that logo much better. just
Yeah,
an
let's
assumption.
Count Nashville's old one.
I don't know.
1,
looking
2,
at the
3,
logos.
4, 5, 6. Yeah, Nashville's old one had like 6, maybe 7 if I'm missing something.
Okay, I'll have a guess for now that I've done research.
Yeah.
Hunter, you have one?
Well, even after the research, like I don't think I would change my answer from Minnesota or maybe San Jose, but like.
Well, if it was right, he would have told us, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, if it was right, I would have told you. So
exactly. So
or at least I might have.
So
anyways.
my guess now will be the Colorado Avalanche.
Hunter, any new guess, or are you just sticking with what you had?
Okay, one final guess. I will go with.
What team has the second most number of colors in their logo? What a crazy question. I love it.
Yeah, this was a really good one.
At least this isn't painful.
Yeah.
Like, remember that question that Bpoe gave us where it was just like painful trying to figure out what he meant by stuff?
I'm going to go with Winnipeg.
You got it. According to Gwinnett, which appears to be correct from what I can see.
It's because of shading. Yeah.
Yep, because you've got navy blue and white, and then 2 shades of red, 2 shades of gray. That's 6.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, it's funny that I didn't think about it because I looked through the color palette that Justin has, or actually it might have been you, Bpoe. The color palette we have with all the NHL teams on it. I always see Winnipeg's, and I'm like, why do they have like 7 different colors in their color palette? And it's like because they have like 2 different versions of the silver, and then 2 different versions of the red, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple teams like that, like especially the ones that use metallic colors, like Anaheim and Dallas, LA, Vegas, for example.
But
the difference with them is that they don't use multiple shades at once. It's just one or the they're either using the metallic shade or the flat shade. Meanwhile, Winnipeg has several different shades in the logo as well.
Right. I checked the Avalanche. They only have 5, so I was 1 behind on there.
Okay.
Because they have the black puck and then the little silver accents to go with the white.
Yeah.
Maroon.
If you don't count shading, I mean, that's probably the best answer because you've got, white, gray, black, blue, red. I simplified the blue and the red a little bit, but you get the point.
You know what? I think I would have changed my answer again. I think I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning. No, the Red Wings. Red Wings. Has to be the Red Wings. So many colors.
Okay, so I have one last trivia question before we wrap things up. Actually,
let's
I
go.
just found it. And I think it's funny.
Okay.
So in honor of, well, I guess it's not really in honor of because it's not a Patrick Marleau trivia question, but with Patrick Marleau breaking the record for most games played, I have the Gordie Howe trivia question.
Kane's legend.
Everybody knows what the Gordie Howe hat trick is, right? A goal, assist, a fight
Goal,
in a
assist,
game.
fight, yeah, in a game.
How many Gordie Howe hat tricks did Gordie Howe actually have in his career?
Ooh.
0.
No.
1.
No. But close. It's
7.
2.
2. Wow.
He had 2 Gordie Howe hat tricks in his career.
The thing named after him, he only did twice.
It's funny how things get names and you find out they have nothing to do with like does anybody know the Wilhelm scream, which is like a sound effect that'll be used in movies quite often. Like almost every movie will have somebody screaming in the background. You hear this particular scream as like the same sound bite they've reused for decades and decades and decades, and it's become just like a funny joke at this point. It's called the Wilhelm scream because like the second or third person to do it or to have it in their film was named Wilhelm. Not the first person. They don't even know who actually started it, or the person who started it didn't get their name on it, you know. And so it's funny how things get their names, even though, you know, nobody nobody knows. Yeah, let's see. The Wilhelm scream was used in 1951 with a film called Distant Drums, but the sound is named after a character in a 1953 film it was used in. So it's just like the person who does things isn't always the one that gets credit for doing them. You call it a Gordie Howe hat trick, but he only did it twice. Just like really, like surely somebody else did it first or better. But you know, when you're famous, you get the credit.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like,
yeah, just like
speaking of Patrick Marleau as well, I would very much place a bet on the fact that he is probably the only current player in the NHL, and probably, I mean, I guess the only one in history when you consider teams unveiling new uniforms, to have ever worn every single uniform a franchise has had, not including Vegas and Winnipeg, who have been around for 10 years or less.
Yeah, that's a
like I can't think of anybody else who could have.
The ultimate Carolina Hurricane.
Because like unless he missed like a specialty game somewhere along the line, which I would doubt, he would have worn every single jersey that Sharks have ever had. And it's also funny that he wore their original design in 1997, wore a throwback of it in 2015, and then wore another throwback of it this year.
The ultimate jersey nerd. And of course we put out a congratulations message congratulating Patrick Marleau on most times wearing an NHL jersey in professional competition, because there's no higher jersey nerd than Patrick Marleau, because he's worn all of them.
The ultimate jersey nerd.
Yeah.
A record that we very well might not see broken in our lifetimes. Probably unlikely. So.
Yeah, especially considering the upcoming apocalypse.
Silly Chris, we had that last year.
Oh no, that was just a preview. I'm sure it'll be over in. I'm sure
apocalypse.
Just wash your hands. I'm sure it'll be over in 2 weeks, right, Bpoe? Never gets old. Anyway,
don't worry, everybody, 2 more weeks and we'll see you next year.
To everyone out there, thanks for listening this far into this one, and thanks for supporting us. Join the Discord if you want to interact with the community more. Go to the Redbubble store, and just stay tuned for whatever we end up doing next, because we're just as excited to find out what it is as you are. Unless you're not excited, then go away. We hate you. Go soak your head in a clown burger with some buckle sleeves.
Soak your head at clown burger. Yeah, hoser.
And yeah, that'll do it. See you next time. And go Jersey.
Just hitting the stop. Just
go
hitting the stop
Jersey.
button on a podcast.
Just stopping recording.
Just hitting the stop button on a podcast. How about you?
The Jersey Nerds podcast is a production of Jersey Nerds Media. The Jersey Nerds are Bpoe, Hunter, Justin, Chris, and Noah. follow us on Instagram and Twitter at @the_Jersey_Nerds, and hit that link in our bio to find our blog, our Discord channel, our online store, and more. And be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to us. We really appreciate it. From the Jersey Nerds to you, thanks for just listening to a podcast about you.